With Metro by T-Mobile, your hard-earned money goes further. This tax season, there's zero fees to switch. Enjoy Metro's lowest price, just $25 a line for 4 lines. Plus, get 4 free Samsung Galaxy phones when you switch. Now that's the best deal in wireless. Metro by T-Mobile, empowering you to rule your day. All lines lose promo rate if any deactivates. No fees on select phones. Limit 1 per line with eligible port. Excludes sales tax. Limited time offer. Additional terms apply. See metrobytmobile.com.
TheChairShot.com. Always use your head.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Badlands Podcast, the only podcast out there that is 100% chiseled and is proudly part of the Chairshot Media Group. I am Mags, and again, with me, even though we are in a lockdown, he's just turning up every single week. I can't keep him away. Mr. Paul Tully, how are you, sir?
What lockdown? I don't know what this lockdown is. My head and my heart are still in 1991.
Wow, that was a horrific recording. For context, we're talking about something that's probably been broadcast about 6 weeks ago. But the recording we did with James for the 90s Wrestling Pod, watching probably the worst pay-per-view I've ever had to watch in SummerSlam, Survivor Series 1991.
Agreed.
Such a horrible show. Luckily, we get to watch Tuesday night in Texas to kind of make up for it.
Can't wait for Tuesday night.
Well, considering this is a Tuesday night, we've actually got a really special guest today for Badlands. Someone who's been on the show before, but I don't think you were available when you first came on the show.
I missed it. Was it the first lockdown? Maybe.
Yeah, I believe so. I think we just started going into the first lockdown. But yeah, this guy's I am in awe, absolutely in awe of this guy. He just hit the wrestling community with the most amazing breakdown of wrestling matches and shows with statistics. I just could eat his content up all the live long day. Former podcaster, although that's kind of gone by the wayside. It's the brains behind Pro Wrestling Musings. It's Craig. Craig, how are you, sir?
I'm doing very well. Try not to blush after your introduction. My marvelous statistics, which is essentially just counting with flair. But no, thanks very much.
There's the name of your new podcast, Counting with Flair. So in case people don't quite know about the content you put out, let us know about Pro Wrestling Musings. It's now kind of like transitioned into a website, isn't it? With all where you put all your stats and your kind of like opinion piece and stuff like that. So yeah, let the listeners know a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So prowrestlingmusings.com. It's another one of those wrestling websites that you can't kind of turn a corner without bumping into. But the idea is it's a bit different. It's looking at wrestling kind of through a sports lens or a statistics lens or kind of anything that's a little bit different. So yeah, I've kind of was trying to think of something that I might like to do in terms of kind of content creating. After starting off just like rating matches like, everybody else, not that there's anything wrong with that. And kind of from being a football fan, somebody that's grown up playing way too many hours stroke days of Football Manager, kind of went down, well, you could do statistics for wrestling. You could look at it like, I always think of a Liverpool game years ago. I think it was Rafa Benitez was in charge, and it was against Burnley, and Liverpool had 82% of the possession. I think at the time it was a record, and managed to lose 2-0, which
happy days.
kind of
that sounds like classic Burnley.
Yeah, pretty much.
Classic.
That's efficiency.
Yeah, Liverpool era. Well, yeah, efficiency, absolutely. So yeah, it's kind of that, and it works. It does work. You do find patterns, and you find guys that like Kota Ibushi that always gets really beat up in matches but wins, or Lance Archer tends to get less offense in matches than his opponents, but it's because every time his opponents get anything on him, they kind of do that flailing underdog babyface thing, and so it's you can definitely tell a story with it, be it kayfabe, or if you turn it on its head and look at like, this is how this guy works, this is how this
Oh, did we lose him?
I think we may have lost you, Craig. He may be just contemplating his next statistic. Yeah, we lost you for a second there, Craig.
Hi, yeah. I don't know what happened there. Hello.
You're back.
Can you hear me now?
You are back.
Yes,
you're back.
Yeah. Okay.
So you were going over like how you find patterns and kind of like formulas to people's wrestling.
Yeah. So was it before or after I was speaking about specific people?
I think we got to Lance Archer just about.
Just mentioned Lance Archer. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Yeah. Or the other thing you can do is turn it on its head and think about it like non-kayfabe. This is how such and such a wrestler works, or this is how this match was structured. So it works both ways.
Mm-hmm. And you did dabble in the world of podcasting for a short period. I was honoured enough to be on a couple of episodes of that. What was the happening behind that? Because it kind of like just quietly went away. Was it just a case of not having the time, or is it something that you just wasn't finding your groove with?
I didn't intend on completely stopping that. I actually did 2 episodes of like a follow-up podcast. Mm-hmm. It was called Statistically Speaking for a bit. And Dan, the Excellence of Procrastination he was for ages on Twitter, he's now expanding into wrestling poetry, which is like a niche within a niche within a niche. Him and I were doing that, but we only did a couple episodes. And the main issue behind that is I'm 7 weeks away from gleefully looking forward to looking after a tiny human, and that was awesome. That kind of restricted the time and teacher, so I'm already kind of chasing my tail at times. So the idea was to do a podcast, but less frequent. But it kind of just. Winter gets a bit dark and gloomy, and it might be something we'll dabble with again, but not right now.
Yeah, well, I hope that you find your groove and find that time for it, because I really did enjoy wrestling with statistics. Just having it on as almost kind of like background music and just listening to you break down matches, and then when you started putting it up on the YouTube, and then you'd have the graphics up. Yeah, it was really well done podcast, and I miss it. So hopefully you'll be able to bring it back in some form or other in the near future.
Thanks. Yeah, that's always nice to hear.
So you've been on this show before, so we know your greatest wrestlers of all time. So there's not really anybody for you to add to the collated Mount Rushmore. But what we like to do when we have recurring guests is throw a little bit of an opening curveball at them. So for you, we decided to find out who your best wrestlers working today are, and I thought it'd be a little bit fun to compare it to what me and Paul come up with, because obviously we very much do not dive into the statistics, so we can't give like definitive answers. It's just we'll give the ones that we kind of like adore as wrestlers, and you can go, well, no, you're wrong, because statistically this person is actually the best. So who are your guys, Craig? Who are the four guys that make your list?
I'm gonna caveat it by saying that like it is quite hard to attach statistics to like being the best. They can be somewhat erratic. There's no like X plus Y equals, whatever algebra. My guy, my wrestler, the guy that I gravitate towards all the time is Kenny Omega, and like somebody else's statistics, but like he's up there as having the best that it kind of turns about, but like he's always up there on Grapple, that match with Okada, Dominion, the Wrestle Kingdom, the other Dominion matches, those are always like in the top 5 based on kind of crowdsourcing. People have waxed lyrical about Kenny Omega. He's showing that he can do it on American TV. The thing that I think doesn't get said enough about him was he just like stepped into a tag team and had like the best tag team of last year, one of the best tag team matches ever. He's just like he's fantastic, and I don't understand why it's almost like a debate at times about is he actually as that good? It's confusing.
Great first pick. He's certainly on my list, and for essentially for a lot of the same reasons that you've put across. He was one of the main reasons I got dragged back into watching wrestling around 5 years ago. And he doesn't put on boring or not entertaining matches. It's really, really weird how he's got this skill of being able to just put on the very best match of any show. So yeah, he's definitely made my list, Paul.
I haven't decided if he's on my list yet.
Oh, shall we come to you last then?
Are we taking one each?
No, a list each. A list each.
But are we taking it in turns or?
I mean, we can do. We don't really play by the rules here, so either or. I mean, I've got mine, so I'm happy to round mine off. Number one is Kota Ibushi. I think the guy's had an outstanding year from Wrestle Kingdom to Wrestle Kingdom. He's just put on amazing performance after amazing performance. And I don't know if you've watched it yet, but potentially, Paul, he may or may not be the double champion.
No, I've seen it now. I've seen it now. I appreciate that, though.
Second, I've gone for Hiromu Takahashi. Since his comeback again, ironically, the beginning of the year, he hasn't missed a beat. He's literally fell into the same kind of wrestling formula that he was in when he got injured, perhaps even more so, more death-defying. So, I think he was one of New Japan's stars of this COVID era. And I'm so devastated we didn't get the Naito versus Takahashi feud that we were potentially going to get. And then my last pick, obviously I've got Kenny at number 3, who we've literally waxed lyrical about. And then last I've gone for Kyle O'Reilly. I think out of Undisputed Era, he's the best pure wrestler, so multi-talented. And I think this year we've really seen the kind of Kyle O'Reilly that we saw in the likes of Ring of Honor and PWG, where he's kind of coming out of the shell of being under Adam Cole's wings and really coming out as his own wrestler and looks like a true title contender. So yeah, they're the 4 guys who I've gone for the best wrestlers working today. Good picks.
I'm not familiar with Kyle O'Reilly because I don't watch NXT, but I fully approve of the other picks.
You're missing out. You really are missing out. He's so good.
I do need to dive into NXT a bit more.
So we'll go back to Craig then. Craig, you want to round yours off and give Paul a little bit more thinking time?
Sure. Kenny's generally my number 1. I made the good decision last year off of a couple of recommendations to check out Stardom. which I'd thoroughly recommend that you do. Mayu Iwatani, for me, is the best women's wrestler in the world right now. There are other people like Io Shirai, Sasha Banks that are doing great things. They have the unfortunate kind of difficulty of working for WWE that, you know, they do their thing in a different way. Political. So yeah, she's amazing. She's anything that you watch, she's fantastic. She's like Io Shirai / Sasha Banks, but she gets 20-30 minutes to wrestle, and it's all wrestling. It's really, really good. Kozuchiko Okada, I don't know what was going on last year. I don't know if the story was really worth it. I'm not doing the Rainmaker anymore. I'm just not doing it. Why not? He never told anyone. He just refused to do it, and he wasn't as good. And then he did it, and he was good again. It was an odd story. It made less sense than the balloons. But he's amazing. He's the best final stretch in wrestling. The wrist control drama is absolutely fantastic, and he's showing it like he's back, whether or not he was injured or he was taking a rest or I don't know. He just didn't like the Rainmaker for a while, but he's great again. And number 4, I really couldn't pick. I had Sasha, I had Io. Thought about Kota Ibushi, who's had a marvelous year. I've almost put Shingo in just to be a bit different because I just really like Shingo Takagi. There was a bit in a match last year against Jay White where Jay White was doing his heel stick, and he just laid him out with one elbow and then did like a relaxed pin on top of Jay White and just burst out laughing in the middle of a G1 match. He's a worker, and his matches are different. And that Jeff Cobb match was absolutely fantastic. So yeah, Shingo Takagi.
So it was such a great match. Yeah, Shingo was one who I contemplated. I've been a huge fan of his since he arrived in New Japan. I didn't really see a lot of his work pre-New Japan. I know he did stuff in was it Dragon Gate?
Dragon Gate mainly, wasn't it?
Yeah, but yeah, the guy's an absolute superstar. Really elevated that Never title.
Yeah, definitely.
So, Paul, have you come up with your on the fly for greatest wrestlers working today?
It'd be absolutely no surprise to anyone. Charlotte Flair's number 1.
She's been back like about a week.
She's working today. I don't know if she's working today. I don't know if they've got a Tuesday show on this year. But what's to be said about Charlotte Flair that I haven't said already? I do think she's head and shoulders above the division she's in, and that division includes some incredible wrestlers in Asuka, Sasha Banks, Bayley. They're all brilliant, but I just think she's an absolute natural talent, one in a million. I can't say if she's the best women's wrestler in the world, because I've never checked out Stardom or any Joshi wrestling, and I gather it's pretty good. But certainly she's my favorite women's wrestler of those I've seen. Next, I agree on Kazuchika Okada. I gather he didn't have a very good year last year, but I didn't see much New Japan last year, so it didn't affect me. But he's kind of my favorite wrestler, my go-to guy, and I just think when he's not it's almost like when he's not the top guy, it doesn't make sense. When he's not in the main event, it just feels wrong. And I just thought his match against Ospreay was absolutely fantastic at Wrestle Kingdom. My favorite match of this year so far, for what it is. And then I'm going to go over to back to WWE. I'm going to go for Randy Orton.
Interesting.
Because he's just Mr. Consistent for about 20 years now. I'm not sure when his career actually started, but yeah, it's about 20 years, isn't it? I think he could do anything. I think they can rely on him to do anything. He's doing amazing work with, mainly with Alexa Bliss now, isn't it? Not The Fiend. The Fiend's disappeared somewhere.
And as a luchador with the mask on this week's Raw.
Yeah, exactly. So he could do luchador. He did excellent. And he's excellent with Edge at the start of the year. Mm-hmm. I just think Randy Orton's great, and this year or 2020 is when I think I fully started to completely appreciate him. I liked him before, but I'm starting to really get it now. I think he's probably one of the greatest that are currently doing it. And then I'm going to go Jay White.
Wow, so no Kenny.
No, because you both went for him, so I thought I don't really get a big head. He seems to be getting a bit big enough head as it is at the moment. In storyline, I'm not saying he's I like Kenny Omega. Jay White, best heel on the planet. And again, I thought he's incredible at Wrestle Kingdom, even though he lost to Ibushi. He made that match for me.
Yeah, it was a great match and great character work by him at the end as well. Like when he was stretching to grab the titles. Yeah. And then the post event press conference where he basically said he quits. And the whole wrestling world is talking about it. So
we still don't know. He's just got to say he's got this amazing ability to silence a crowd. I know that's not difficult at the moment to silence a crowd, but but before COVID, he was very good at it.
Yeah, 4 great picks by all, and for 3 kind of different outlooks, but still absolutely amazing picks. But let's get into this main topic. We decided that we would go with rookie years, so the Mount Rushmore of rookie years and it doesn't necessarily have to mean the wrestler's first ever year in wrestling. It could mean their kind of breakout year with a new company or something like that. We just thought we'd go with rookie years for wrestlers. So Craig, what's your first pick?
So I think this is within your rules. The first one I've got is AJ Styles in WWE.
Okay.
Suppose I could have also gone AJ Styles in New Japan, but I was thinking WWE when I wrote it down. So the kind of the coming in the Rumble, that kind of huge moment, getting like he came in as such a big star. He even got to keep his name, which at the time was hard to do because everybody that was signing for NXT was going through name changes. He came in at the Rumble. He had those great matches against Roman Reigns, and then the second half of that year, he was the main guy on the newly brand split SmackDown Live, and it's one of my favorite periods to think back on as a wrestling fan. I really enjoyed that time where it was SmackDown Live and it was new and it was AJ Styles, John Cena, and Dean Ambrose at the time, kind of at the top of that card. So AJ Styles.
It's a great pick. I remember when I was reading the news of him leaving New Japan and then signing for WWE, and nobody expected him to be in the company for Royal Rumble. So when his number came up and he showed up, it was a massive, massive pop. And it's not often that WWE kind of acknowledge that wrestlers have made their name somewhere else, but there was no hiding it with AJ Styles. He came in and everybody already knew who he was. That's a really good first pick.
It's unusual that Vince knew how good he was. I can only assume like all the Undertakers and people he actually listened to must have been telling him, because AJ Styles seems like the sort of wrestler who would go in and just flop just because Vince doesn't get it.
Yeah, I remember reading a report, and I'm sure it was from somewhere like Fartful, that said Vince wished he'd recognised his talent 10 years before, because he would have had him in the company way before. Yeah, it's a great pick, and what a brilliant year as well. I mean, he rounded it off as world champion at the end of it, so you can't really say much better than that.
Absolutely. I think they also, there's like a really critically acclaimed match against John Cena maybe at the Rumble, just like that's maybe 366 days, but
What you doing? Designing my new 2021 Nissan Kicks online in the Kicks Color Studio. I give each a special name. This one's electric blue, orange, red, white. I call it the Gumball Machine. You think it's me? I feel like you're more of a red velvet guy.
Limitless possibilities. With over 100 million available color combinations and Bose Personal Plus system in the boldly new 2021 Nissan Kicks. Bose is a registered trademark of the Bose Corporation. Color combinations include interior and exterior colors. Customization is an available feature subject to availability at participating Nissan dealers. See dealer for details.
Tali, let's go to you for our first pick.
Okay, I've gone for. I read the rules differently. I went for actual rookie years.
Another week, another episode that Paul puts his own rules in place.
Is that elitist?
Yeah, I think you are.
Yeah,
you're a purist.
So I've gone quite recently. I've gone for Ronda Rousey. So she first appeared in a signed capacity at Royal Rumble in 2018. Mm-hmm. So she didn't appear in the Royal Rumble, obviously. The Royal Rumble, first ever women's Royal Rumble, won by Asuka. And Charlotte and Alexa were at ringside, who were the champions. Obviously, they did their little face-off at the end, and then nice little surprise at the end. The long rumored Ronda Rousey appearance in WWE, and yeah, she got a massive pop straight away, and she'd arrived, obviously, kind of her background, as we all know, in MMA, and was it judo before that?
Yeah, she was I think Olympic silver medalist, I want to say, in judo. Yeah,
so it just felt like a massive moment straight away, because obviously we had it was the first women's Rumble, it was the main event, and this kind of felt like the icing on the cake for kind of that women's evolution, as it was branded, to have someone so legit as Ronda Rousey. I think, the assumption after that happened was Ronda would just go straight to WrestleMania and face one of the champions. That's what that moment seemed to indicate, but it didn't. She debuted at WrestleMania in a lot of people's, including mine's, match of the show, where she tag teamed with Kurt Angle against Triple H and Stephanie McMahon. And obviously, wrestling fans being wrestling fans, that's quite hard to get that match as match of the night, because people didn't like that Triple H and particularly Stephanie were on the card, and Ronda had just walked into a WrestleMania match. But I think they had the crowd in the palm of their hands during that match, and she didn't look out of place at all. And she'd gone to win the match, tapping out Stephanie. And it was quite clear. I don't know what training she had done, but she clearly could wrestle. She clearly could do it. She could clearly tell a story in the ring. But also she brought something different. Said she always looked like a legit threat, kind of like the fast punches she'd do, and kind of all the takeover, like the judo takeovers she'd do. It was a completely different, fresh take on pro wrestling, certainly in WWE, I think. So about 4 months later, SummerSlam, she became Raw Women's Champion for the first time, kind of squashing Alexa Bliss quite easily. And then she'd go on to main event the first ever all-women's pay-per-view, Evolution, against Nikki Bella.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, correct.
Yeah, again, a month later, she'd have what, obviously I'm going to say this, but what I feel was her best match against Charlotte Flair. Obviously, it was supposed to be against Becky Lynch, but Nia Jax had a week before made her famous by busting her nose open. So Charlotte had gone in as the replacement, and she just enraged Charlotte, and who beat her down with a vicious kendo stick attack. And it was just an excellent match. Like I said, I think it was her best match of her short career, if this year was all her career was. And obviously this was kind of the beginnings then of what would eventually crown her amazing rookie year, because this is where Charlotte and Becky and Ronda all kind of started coming together, started altercating mainly on social media to begin with. But then as time went on, and obviously Becky won the Rumble, they would have matches against each other, and they had that amazing, one of the best backstage brawls there's ever been, where they all ended up arrested, and they were fighting in the back of cars and police cars. And
didn't Becky drive one of the police cars back to the shore to get on the shore?
Yes, well? Yeah, I believe that happened. And then it all built up. Kind of the final day of Ronda's rookie year, if you like, main event in WrestleMania with Becky and Charlotte. Obviously, she lost to Becky Lynch, but it don't get better than that in my eyes. And I think she left the day after. I'm not sure. I might need you to confirm that, but I'm pretty sure her rookie year is her only year.
Yeah, it is. She was officially wrestling for 365 days, so she couldn't have timed it perfectly. And to have a year going from WrestleMania to WrestleMania, and then being integral to having women main event in the WrestleMania, because I still believe if she wasn't involved in that match, Becky would not have headlined WrestleMania. She was a massive part of WWE's push to making women the face of the company. So for all the kind of grief that she gets, I think she made huge strides for women's wrestling. It's a great pick.
I agree with you. As much as I clearly love Charlotte and Becky, they don't main event without her. Not WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm. So I can't veto it because I had it as one of my picks, and I think it's an outstanding rookie year.
Thank you very much. Let's hear Craig's next one.
Yeah, let's go to Craig for his second one.
So I've gone slightly outside the box. I didn't want to completely kind of abuse the rules and be like, well, everybody's first year in AEW was that would be ridiculous. But I've gone with Darby Allen because his first year in AEW also feels a little bit like a rookie year because he is young. It was his rookie year on television, shall we say? So yeah, and I mean he's also like AEW's main or first kind of homegrown guy, him or MJF, obviously. Again, I've gone with Darby Allen because he feels like a rookie, his stature and the way that he fights and that as well. But yeah, so he came in against Cody. They had that really good time limit draw, and then he's been pushed kind of really well since the beginning. He got that match against Chris Jericho, and he's already a proven draw. He's at the top of the cards, or middling to top, but he's really broke. I suppose what I'm trying to say is he's almost like him and MJF are the breakout stars of AEW Dynamite, but Allen kind of feels more like the rookie going in. And I know that it's just out with, so he came in at Fyter Fest, or was it Fyter Fest or Fight for the Fallen, in that kind of weird period before AEW started, when it was like they were having pay-per-views. And yeah, he's just, I don't think anybody could disagree that he's really made an impact. He came from nowhere essentially. And I mean, now he's a champion, but that's about 5-6 months after his first year. But yeah, Darby Allen.
Yep, another great pick.
It's a great shout. A lot of people say he speaks to the youth. He's definitely appeals to them. I wouldn't know, obviously, anymore, but but apparently he's very popular with the demo.
With the kids.
Yeah. I
don't really get the videos. I like the first couple, but now I'm just kind of yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I don't get them. But,
the first kind of memory I had of Darby Allen was when Omega Luke interviewed him for his podcast, and he said that he was like sleeping in his car, and I think that was about a year or so before he signed for AEW. So yeah, I think it can definitely be counted as a rookie year, and like Paul said, he's kind of touched on that kind of youth demographic. You can tell that they think a lot of him because the people who they've put that TNT title on are big players, and for him to be the face of TNT, to be involved in a storyline not only with Cody but with Sting. My only issue with the guy is he seems determined to kill himself in the ring with his moveset. It looks so brutal, but yeah, it's a great shout. Not someone I even considered, to be fair, and I wish I had now, because it's a really, really good shout.
When I think of when I think of Darby Allen, it's him doing those like really fast dives, but like through the bottom rope. He did one against Moxley, I think, and one against Sammy Guevara, which I think, it also backs up your idea of him maybe not being around too long.
Yeah, so that's,
how old is he?
I think he's 27. I think he said on a recent episode of Dynamite that the storyline between him and Taz maybe 9 months in the making, but for him it's 27 years, because he was born to be a wrestler, something like that. So yes, really young in terms of wrestling.
What are you going to say, that heartbeat at the start of Taz's music was actually like his his baby monitor or something?
But yeah, that's a really good pick. I'll go with my first pick on ours, Paul, and it's I think I'm going to play to your favourites with my first pick. I'm going to go with Jay White.
Okay.
So
definitely playing it safe on the veto front there, isn't it?
Exactly. So on the 5th of November 2017, and after months of little teaser vignettes, it was Power Struggle, and Jay White returned to New Japan after his excursion, coming in as the mysterious Switchblade. I think he'd been on an excursion to, was it Ring of Honor and Rev Pro, done about 18 months abroad, and came in and challenged Hiromu Takahashi straight away for his Intercontinental title, a belt that Tanahashi literally only just defended against Kota Ibushi in a war. And before Tanahashi could give a definitive answer, he was attacked by Jay. And then it was announced the following day that match would be signed for Wrestle Kingdom 12. So making his Wrestle Kingdom debut, unfortunately, he was not able to best the ace of New Japan. But 24 hours later, his stock in not only New Japan but in the wrestling world would start that kind of monumental rise. He was offered a spot in Bullet Club by leader Kenny Omega, who was kind of hoping to bring Jay in and kind of settle the infighting in Bullet Club. So after stroking Jay White's ego and kind of telling Jay that he reminded him of a 2015 Kenny, Kenny pulled out a Bullet Club t-shirt and offered Switchblade a spot in Bullet Club. So Jay put the shirt on and was like he looked really happy to be a part of the group, did a pose with Kenny, then signaled for his finisher, the Blade Runner, hits Kenny with the move, leaves the ring after being chased off by a couple of members of Bullet Club, and then throws the t-shirt away. So then the next day we get another press conference, and Jay White has agreed to join Chaos, but he said it was not because he fitted in with the group. It's not because he particularly liked being in the group. It's because they had a common enemy with Bullet Club, and he would want to side with them for now. But he made it perfectly clear to Okada when the time came, he would turn on Okada and he would destroy Chaos from within. So we get to the end of January, and Jay beats Kenny Omega for his IWGP US title at New Beginning in Sapporo. Then he defended it successfully 3 times against Hangman at Strong Style Evolved, against David Finlay on a Road to Don Taku show, and then even against Punishment Martinez in the War of the Worlds cross promotion pay-per-view. That title he would eventually lose to Juice Robinson, the G1 special in 2018. And then that's when he entered his first G1 climax, where he got 12 points, beating Okada. And he also beat the eventual winner of that G1, Hiroshi Tanahashi. So Hiroshi had to defend his briefcase at Destruction in Kobe against against Okada, and that's when Jay White came out and attacked Hiroshi, basically confirming his intention to challenge for the briefcase next. And this is when he also chose his time to turn on Okada. So whilst he's laying into Okada, Gedo runs out to defend his protege leader. But then we see the chair shot that rung around the world when Gedo hit Okada with a chair. Unfortunately, Jay did lose that challenge to Tanahashi. Tanahashi was really kind of his nemesis for the first part of his rookie year in New Japan. But Okada came out to stop the post-match beatdown from Jay White and Gedo on Tanahashi. And that's when they were joined by Jado and the OG Bullet Club to absolutely destroy Kazuchika Okada, cementing Jay as the new leader of Bullet Club, which is kind of like a real 360 compared to how he was offered the spot and he refused it, and now he was the leader of New Japan's most popular faction. So after that, he would face Okada at Wrestle Kingdom 13. So a little bit over the 12 months, but he would beat Hiroshi Tanahashi for the belt and crown off just over, I think, 15 months old told of his debut time in New Japan, becoming world champion and rubber stamping one of the greatest kind of rookie years in at least in New Japan recent memory, and potentially in the whole of the wrestling world. So yeah, my first pick is Switchblade Jay White.
Yeah, it's an outstanding pick. Not to mention at that Wrestle Kingdom, how did he beat Okada? Was 13 minutes?
Mm-hmm, yeah, and then after that he challenged Tanahashi. I think he won the title at New Beginnings.
New Beginning, yeah.
Yeah.
And in that match with Tanahashi, pretty much he like dominated him as well.
Yeah.
So like beating Okada in 13 minutes and then dominating Tanahashi, it wasn't like it was like really cementing him as the real deal.
And the storyline that he had with Tanahashi all the way through that year, where he just wasn't able to get one up on him, and then when it come down to the clutch and he needed to do it to become world champion, he was able to pull out the victory. And it's led to arguably one of the greatest heel wrestlers that we've got around today.
Yeah, I can't dispute it. I look forward to him coming out at the Royal Rumble. I don't know, dressed as a Kiwi or a Maori or something.
Can you imagine the scene? Wow, so it stays on. I'm actually
definitely.
That. I thought that would be a quick retour for you, but
that was amazing. Yeah,
let's go back to you, sir.
Speaking of New Japan, I have put down Kozuchiko Okada for his rookie year in New Japan. So, counting rookie year in New Japan as his return from excursion. Otherwise, it's quite hard to have a good rookie year in New Japan otherwise. Came back, beat Yoshihashi at Wrestle Kingdom, which isn't the biggest of achievements, poor Yoshihashi. But then he challenged Tanahashi, beat Tanahashi straight away for the IWGP title. Big deal in Japan. I don't believe the Japanese fans were very happy about it. I think it was confusing for everyone. But I think everyone would perhaps be surprised at just how good Gedo's foresight was there. When you look back on that, it seems like a wonderful genius decision. He did lose the championship back to Tanahashi shortly after at Dominion. However, he then went on to win the G1 in his rookie year, beating Carl Anderson in the final, and went all the way on to Wrestle Kingdom defending the briefcase, but he lost to Tanahashi again. So, I mean, as far as rookie years go, I think that's about as good as it gets. Most prestigious title. in wrestling, or certainly is today. It maybe wasn't quite back then. And G1 grinding it out in the G1.
Yeah, and another outstanding pick. And
Yes, huge.
I think both that him and the Jay White stories just shows how vital Tanahashi is to that company. I mean, it's easy to kind of overlook him as the ace of New Japan, but he is essential for making wrestlers look legitimate.
Definitely.
I suppose it was like his job for 3 years was almost to like get Okada to be seen as bigger than him. It's quite a giving role in a way.
Yeah, absolutely.
He loves the company, doesn't he? And that's what he wanted is New Japan to be the biggest company in the world.
And I suppose it's testament to him as well that when the New Japan are hit with a bombshell like Kenny leaving, the one person they go to kind of fall back on is Tanahashi, and then the title then can make the way to Jay White or to Okada or whoever. But the one kind of solid there who is always in that picture is Hiroshi Tanahashi. I mean, I know you picked Okada, but it's led me to kind of waxing lyrical about Hiroshi Tanahashi.
I'm sure he had a good rookie year. I think you say it's difficult to have a good proper rookie year in a New Japan. Do you remember what's the name of the massive guy, the massive young lion? It's Kitamiya or something, or Kitayama.
Was this a couple years ago?
Yeah.
Was the guy with the teeth?
The teeth, and he's just ridiculous size.
Partly he got injured. I remember like one day just being like, "Oh, what happened to him?" I think he got injured, and he's like done.
Done. He looked like he had a massive future. Yeah. And I think he actually won the Wrestling Observer Rookie of the Year award. But no, I didn't know where he disappeared to.
I think that's one thing you can always count on with New Japan, though. They've always got a good crop of young lions coming through. I mean, the crop that they've got now is so talented. Gabriel Kidd is absolutely phenomenal. Yota Tsuji is a star in the making. And obviously we'll hopefully have a Shota back pretty soon, and I'm sure he's going to make a huge impact. Maybe not as huge as Master Wato. That guy's going to be a superstar. I can't stand that character. I really can't. He's the only young lion that I've seen that looks like he was better as a young lion than he was with his character. It looks like he relies on the New Japan dads more now than he did as a young lion.
I'll never forget when he was a young lion. He was on I think he was on Suzuki's team, and Suzuki was pinning someone, and just inexplicably he came in and broke up the pin. There's one person you don't want to do that to. It's Minoru Suzuki. He just levered him. Absolutely levered him. They're on the same team.
Brilliant. Right, Paul, let's go to you for our third pick and your second.
Okay, I am going to go for Bill Goldberg. Obviously,
let me get my veto pick ready.
Well, I don't think you can dispute this one. Like Ronda, coming from a pro sports background, he was a footballer. I don't think he did much in the NFL, did he? But he was an NFL footballer. Mm-hmm. Came into WCW and debuted in June 1997 in a dark match versus Buddy Lee Parker. By June 1998, he was up in the region of 100 consecutive wins. No one's really sure what the number is, but it was right about 100. And a run of matches, a run of victories that included two of the greatest wrestlers of all time in Barry Darsow and Ray Traylor, as well as Perry Saturn, Raven, Scott Norton, Yuji Nagata. And, majority of these matches were just minutes in length. Like we're talking 2-3 minutes, spear, jackhammer, game over. in fact, the first time he went beyond 3 minutes was when William Regal decided to test him. I don't know if you've seen. I don't know if you've seen this one, where William Regal decides he's not quite gonna have the green Goldberg get all his own way, and starts beating the shit out of him. And Goldberg just doesn't have the cardio to go beyond 3 minutes.
Yeah, he's absolutely knackered.
It's quite the spectacle. But Goldberg won that one as well. Just a year of pure dominance over the WCW roster, and just created an immensely popular star at that time. I think it's that year that is the reason he's main event in a WWE pay-per-view now. That's what created Goldberg. I don't think anyone can remember anything beyond the streak. Like I said, it was very popular. It was kind of a big part of WCW gaining ground and taking over WWF at the time in terms of viewership. He won the United States Championship from Raven, kind of within the first 9 months of his career. An undefeated United States champion. He would eventually relinquish it when he won the world title, and it was just at the end of his rookie year, where, like I said, he was unbeaten, over 100 victories, and he was just on the cusp then of taking on the NWO. And it was actually 1 month after the end of his rookie year, so similar to Jay White, he'd beat Scott Hall and Hulk Hogan on the same night to become a WCW heavyweight champion for the first time and only time, which I was actually surprised about. I didn't know it was the only time he'd won it. And like I said, I think that streak, that first year, that created the legend of Goldberg. I think that's the legend that lasts to this day, and has to go down as one of the best rookie years of all time. I don't know if it's the first ever unbeaten rookie year. Potentially. Oh no, that'd be Terrible Ted, wouldn't it? He was
unbeaten literally all his career.
All of his career, like 5,000 matches. But Goldberg's a close second to Terrible Ted.
And certainly had the same kind of wrestling prowess.
Yeah.
It's certainly not a pick I even contemplated, not at all. So I'm going to veto it.
Oh, you can't veto it. It's a proper rookie. It's a real rookie. You can't go replacing it with a pretend rookie.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, the two that I've got left are both actual real rookies. So.
All right. You better be Terrible Ted.
Yeah, bear, a fucking wrestling bear.
He's a good wrestling bear.
A very good wrestling bear. No, I'm going to replace him with Kurt Angle.
Okay.
So let's go with the story of Kurt's first year in wrestling. So Kurt was hot off the heels of winning Olympic gold medals in freestyle wrestling, which he actually did legitimately. It's not even a storyline. He did it with a broken neck. He had to have painkiller injections into his final show to win the gold medal, and he was actually offered a 10-year deal with the WWF, but he turned it down because he felt that pro wrestling was beneath him. So Vince organised a meeting with him to try and convince him, but unfortunately those talks broke down when Kurt came in, and ironically, quite like Goldberg, he refused to ever lose. So yeah, Vince was like, nope, that's not how we kind of do things around here. It was
50-50.
Yeah, exactly. So it was convinced by a fellow Pittsburgh native, Shane Douglas, to attend the ECW show in like the hopes of attracting him there. He actually gave an in-ring interview and did a little bit of a guest commentary on the show before Raven attempted to crucify Sandman on an actual real crucifix, which totally disgusted Kurt Angle, and he threatened legal action if his appearance on that show was shown on the same broadcast as the crucifixion. But one thing he did say in later interviews was that the in-ring action gave him kind of helped change his mind about pursuing professional wrestling. He thought that they look like legitimate athletes, and the kind of work that you have to put in for wrestling, it really kind of appealed to him. And that opinion was kind of rubber stamped when he started watching WWF programming on a regular basis, and he became a massive fan of Stone Cold Steve Austin. So he actually reapproached Vince and was looking to sign for the company, but Vince said the 10-year deal was now not on the table. But what he did offer Kurt was a tryout, and that tryout led to a 5-year deal that started in August of 1998. So in August, he went into the WWE development territories, and he was only there for just over a year. Many of his trainers were absolutely astounded of how quickly he kind of transitioned into pro wrestling from the Greco-Roman style. So he made his WWF debut at the 1999 Survivor Series, where he beat Shawn Stasiak to start his legitimate rookie year with the company, and he remained undefeated until that famous loss to Taz, where he was choked out in a Taz mission. But
how many matches was that undefeated streak?
It must have been 200. And I think it was about 3 months that he went undefeated. But that loss was a mere blip on Kurt's trajectory. And then in early February 2000, he won his first title, the European belt, which he won by beating Val Venis, and then he added another belt at the end of the month by beating Chris Jericho for the Intercontinental, making him the third ever Euro-Continental champion behind such massive names as D'Lo Brown and Jeff Jarrett. Really kind of esteemed company there. Unfortunately, would drop these belts in the same match at WrestleMania 2000 in a two-fall triple threat match, even though he wasn't actually involved in either of the falls. We had Chris Benoit pinning Jericho for the first fall, giving him the RC title, and then Jericho returning the favour for the European title. But again, this was another tiny kind of blip on Kurt's road to the top. He spent a little bit of a time teaming with Edge and Christian in a little feud with Rikishi and Too Cool. He won the 2000 King of the Ring in his rookie year, again beating Rikishi in the final. He had a love triangle storyline with Triple H and Stephanie. He had a feud with The Undertaker and Kane. So he was a really kind of a lot of thought was put into Kurt Angle and really kind of pushed him quickly to the top of the card. And that's when he started entering the title picture. He beat the current WWF champion, The Rock, in a title match, but by DQ, and that led to the triple threat at SummerSlam, where The Rock was able to retain against Kurt and Triple H. So the storyline with Hunter continued, with the pair facing off at Unforgiven. Kurt lost in a no DQ match, but he then would join back up with Edge and Christian in the run into No Mercy 2000, where he actually would face The Rock for the WWF title in a no DQ match, and that's where he would win his first world title only 11 months into his wrestling career with WWF. And he would be then the first wrestler to be WWF champion and Olympic champion. And then he rounded off his rookie year at the 2000 Survivor Series, where he beat The Undertaker. And with that, he had arguably one of the best debut years in wrestling history. So yeah, I'm replacing Big Bad Bill Gilberg with the actual legend of Kurt Angle.
You suck. No, in all fairness, he did beat Val Venis and Chris Jericho, so he's basically a hero of the people these days. so you can keep him.
20 years on, and the storylines show that he was actually a face all along. He's gone the Shawn Michaels route.
He was a visionary.
He certainly was a visionary. Craig, let's go back to you, sir, for your final pick.
So my last one. So I was going to have Ronda Rousey in, but then I thought of Brock Lesnar. I can't believe that I didn't think of him first. Brock Lesnar is quite prominent in my own kind of wrestling interest. I first started watching wrestling like just after the Attitude Era. Rather sillily of me, but there we go. We didn't have Sky in the house until then. And if you live in Britain, if you don't have Sky, then you know, unless you were around at your mate's houses, you just didn't watch it. So yeah, I kind of started watching after that. It was essentially after Brock's rookie year. It was after the Angle Lesnar WrestleMania, and then after university, I'd stopped watching wrestling, and then I watched a WrestleMania. I think it must have been the Cena Rock year, and I believe. And then I watched the next Raw, and I believe that's when Lesnar comes out. I might be getting my timelines wrong, but I think that's correct. And I was like, oh, well, Brock Lesnar, etc. And that's kind of where I started watching it again. In terms of his rookie year, Lesnar came in. He won the King of the Ring straight away. When he was after he'd had some stuff with the Hardys before that, but he came in. Won King of the Ring. He was put over strong by Hogan. He didn't have to comedy throw himself around the ring like Shawn Michaels. And then he won the WWE title at SummerSlam, I believe, against The Rock, like barely 6 months into his run rather. And then he would lose it close to the Rumble. Then he would win the Rumble, going on to beat Kurt Angle at that WrestleMania that I mentioned before, just kind of about 13 months into his run. So in terms of his rookie year, King of the Ring, Hogan, WWE title against The Rock, won the Rumble. I mean, like, just give up, just go home, try something else. Why bother? It's done.
And that's Brock Lesnar's career. Just, when he wants to be involved, everyone else can forget it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll say that as a compliment.
Yeah, I mean, he's a massive favourite of us here on Badlands, and that's why I've got to agree with Craig, and he was going to be my last pick. And like Craig said, he went from WrestleMania, the Raw after WrestleMania 18 to WrestleMania 19, and in that time he did so much. He packed a career's worth of accolades into 1 year, and the ironic thing is he was actually meant to come out and destroy Stone Cold Steve Austin, but Stone Cold point blank refused to put him over because. Not because he didn't think that Brock was a talented wrestler, but just because he didn't feel that the advertising and the kind of the fact that it was on TV rather than a pay-per-view meant no sense, and it actually led to Austin going away and taking his ball home and leaving. But Brock's career, first year was just absolutely outstanding, beating the likes of Booker T, winning the 2002 King of the Ring, beating The Rock at SummerSlam. He was actually 126 days into his wrestling career, and he was the world champion. The only person who would come anywhere close to that in terms of their time with WWF is Ric Flair, who was in the company for 113 days when he first won the world title. But what that title also meant was that Brock was the youngest WWE champion in wrestling history at 25 years old. And I think that record is still standing today. So it just shows 20 years on just how much of a massive impact he made. Then we got the all kind of the turn with Paul Heyman and Big Show, then again with Paul Heyman and Angle, leading to that WrestleMania 19 match where he did the infamous shooting star press botch. And apparently in his his training in the WWE developmental, he pulled that off all the time. It was a move that was in his kind of wheelhouse all the time, and it was the first time he tried it on WWE main programming, and he messed it up. But Kurt was able to carry him to the victory, and he left WrestleMania with his second world title. And ironically, Kurt entered that match with another legitimate broken neck. So the fact that Kurt was able to carry a guy the size of Brock Lesnar, whose bell had been rung and he was just absolutely knocked senseless to a victory, was absolutely outstanding. And another kind of little nugget of information about that match: it was the first ever WrestleMania where the two wrestlers were actually using their legitimate birth names. So yeah, my fourth pick, our fourth pick and my second pick was Brock Lesnar as well.
Was it?
How does Kurt Angle have a different neck to everybody? Like how can you just have a broken neck and do these? It makes no sense.
It's absolutely baffling, because even in his time in TNA, he didn't go and get the neck repaired when he came away from WWE. He left WWE saying he wanted to go on rehab, and then he instantly went to work for TNA, and he wrestled pretty much all his TNA career with a broken neck. Yeah, the guy's an absolute machine.
He probably regrets that now.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Probably a bad decision. It must be embarrassing for whoever lost that Olympic final.
Yeah, I think I saw his name as well. I think it's a Cuban wrestler.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Rocky Romero.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, he had injections into his spinal column just before wrestling and winning the medal. Just what a star! What an absolute star!
Amazing. Yeah. It's kill. I'm itching so bad to replace.
Are you going to veto Badlands favourite Brock Lesnar, someone who we've championed when everyone else has come on this show slating him? We've stuck up for him, and now you're going to kick him off of Mount Rushmore.
It's a good point. But he was in FCW before, wasn't he? For a little bit. No, you're right. I can't do it to him, because we are big supporters of Brock Lesnar, and I would, as much as I want to put Charlotte Flair on, I'm gonna have to put that to one side and do it next week.
Oh, I hadn't thought.
Whatever the topic is.
Yeah. I hadn't thought of the NXT kind of four horsemen. They're all kind of big options for that as well. Charlotte and Sasha.
Yeah, Charlotte, Sasha, and Bayley. I don't think Becky had particularly a good first year.
Much.
No.
But
I was going to pick Charlotte because she was a legitimate rookie in her first year of NXT, and kind of really did it didn't show. She stood shoulder to shoulder with a great women's division at that time. Like I said, they had the four horsewomen. You also had Natalia down there. Emma, so Tennille Dashwood was there. Paige was still active at that point in NXT. So a brilliant division, and we're still seeing that feud, that four horsewoman feud, played out now, and we'll continue to see it played out for years. And the speed at which she took to wrestling, I thought was fantastic. But yeah, it doesn't compare with Brock Lesnar's first year.
I think the thing with Charlotte that makes hers even more impressive, though, is the fact that she didn't want anything to do with wrestling at all. She was like the furthest thing from her mind, and then she comes in and is one of the best to ever do it. So
yeah. I like how she dropped the name as well. I mean, everyone knows who she is. It's a bit pointless, really, but it's quite symbolic that she did drop the Flair name until she felt worthy of it. Yeah,
it would have been a great veto, but you couldn't have took Brock off our list.
No, he's our man. He's our guy.
So, Craig, what we need from you now, sir, is a topic for a future guest. What kind of a topic or kind of Mount Rushmore would you like to hear?
Is it all those people, or is it ideas?
It can be any, as long as there's some sort of tenuous link to the world of wrestling. It's absolutely fine. I can remind you of your last when you was last on what your topic was, and we covered it. Did we cover it with Foul? I think we covered it with Foul Original. Wrestling's genuine good guys.
Oh, okay, so like Daniel Bryan, Sami Zayn.
And like John Cena stuff, people like that.
Chris Jericho.
I don't know if he made the cut.
Maybe not. Like Mount Rushmore of I think it's too technical. It doesn't really fit. But like the first thing that popped in was like 4 things that you would like to change about wrestling. You know, thinking contracts and healthcare and stuff like that. It's quite a big topic, but.
I can tell you now, mine won't be as sensible as contracts and healthcare, but I like the sound of the topic.
Yeah.
Trampoline ring.
Now you're talking my language.
Right, so I think it's a really good idea for a topic, kind of like what we'd like to see better in wrestling, because it does. And over this past 18 months or so, it has really kind of like pissed a lot of people off with the speaking out and the way WWE books and the kind of like the wars between fans. So there's a lot of kind of a room for some out of the box thinking there.
Yeah, you don't want to have to like keep questioning your morals when you're watching it. I suppose is something like, you know, when you're. Oh, do I have to turn the TV off now because so and so is here? It's just you don't want to be having to do that. Yeah, it's annoying.
The amount of kind of mutual friends I've got on Twitter who are just turning their back on wrestling now because of everything that's gone on recently. It's a very poignant topic, something that will be interesting to debate with someone. So thank you very much for that. Let everybody know, sir, where they can find you on Twitter, where they can find the amazing statistical analysis that you do of wrestling and all the content that you put on ProWrestlingMusings.com.
So ProWrestlingMusings.com is like the hub. If you do go on it and you like it, please sign up to the newsletter. It's quite easy to find. It goes out once a week, and it kind of also keeps you up to date with the fantasy faction. It's like a wrestling slant on fantasy football, but it kind of goes out each week to promote that. But it also links in the highlights from the website. So it's just a good way to be up to date. Twitter is Craig PW Musings, and there's also an @PW Musings, which is more just the stuff. I always feel a bit big-headed calling it content, but it's the content.
Absolutely content.
It's worthy of the term content. Yeah.
I remember you putting a picture of the way you work out the stats and you can't shorthand, and it just blew my mind. I was like, how does he understand any of this? So I am in awe. I absolutely am in awe.
Remember when you used to have to write down the long codes to make Lara Croft naked? It kind of reminded me of that.
All right, okay. It's a very simple. It's the way that I record it comes from old SmackDown versus Raw games. It's squares and triangles and circles.
It certainly leads to some incredibly unique content because there's a million podcasts out there, there's a million reviewers, there's nobody doing what you do, and I think it's absolutely brilliant. And I will keep saying as long as people will listen, a wrestling company needs to sign you up for that. They've kind of got that a similar thing with Chris Charlton in New Japan. He's good at kind of like breaking down stuff like that, but certainly someone like AEW or WWE could really use your statistical prowess. Absolutely.
What I want to see is like maybe in 10 years' time, if you've got that amount of commitment in you, like a book where you you look at like the 10 most apparent statistical trends you've spotted over the decade, and then
Yeah, I do want to do stuff like that. Like, so like I do want to organize it enough so I have like, what's the average New Japan match look like? What's the average AEW match look like? What was 90s wrestling like? What was such and such? I'm just a bit scattergun in my approach at times. So, but yeah, that would be very interesting. Just don't know if if I've got the kind of, I don't know, structure to do that. But yeah, hopefully, maybe.
Paul's only saying that because he wants new quiz fodder. He's sick of reverting to his trusty WWE encyclopedia.
Exactly, it's the only book I've read over the last 7 years. I need some new bedside material.
Yeah, no, it's stuff like that. It's a cool idea. Just
I'd certainly buy it.
Time consuming.
I would absolutely buy that book. Just do it for me and Paul. Just do us a copy.
Just two.
Yeah, just 2 copies. No, but I think it's a great idea, and I think you don't give yourself enough credit because you are doing amazing content. You really are.
I think it's good. I do think it's good. It's just, you kind of, one day you think it's really good, and the next day you're like, oh, this is pointless. What am I doing? But yeah, I think I still believe in it and think it's worthwhile and stuff. So I'm going to plug away and see what I can do with it. And I've got some kind of people that often will write about it and stuff like that. So that's that's another thing. If people do want to create content, it's so much better if you just, I did it all by myself at first, and the website was just like all my stuff. But as soon as you like just do it, even if it's tenuously with other people, it makes it feel more of a thing, more of a real thing, rather than just something you're plugging away at on your own.
Yeah, I agree. And the mindset about kind of believing that you're doing something really cool and then hating it the day after. I bet that's Paul's feeling on coming on Badlands with me when I give him abuse.
It's when I'm agonizing over my research and it's 5 minutes till podcast time and I'm like, why the hell am I doing this?
Anyway, Paul, it's your favourite time of the podcast, sir.
Oh, yeah, this is the other time I feel like that. Well, if you want to see any content that's not worthwhile, you can always follow me on Twitter at Raincounter. You can follow Darren Mags at Dej Kirkby, DEJ Kirkby. Or you can follow us both at Badlands Pod. And if you want to hear more excellent podcasts from either us or other people, you can go to your favorite podcast provider and you can subscribe to 5 Nerds Go, Shooting the Sports-ish, Visionaries Global Media, and Chairshot Radio. And Chairshot Radio is where you'll find us every Thursday with a brand new episode of Badlands. Until then, please stay safe. Always use your head and your face mask, and take care.
TheChairshot.com. Always use your head.